بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Hello, Omar.
Ashley, how you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself? It's good to see you.
Thank you for your concern, Ashley. That's a great question as well. Today is another one of those days that involves me simply just needing money and
Mm,
everything will be perfect.
I get it. What's been the hardest moment for you this week?
Mm. Turning on my camera today to tell you the same thing I've told you for several months now.
Mm-hmm.
And several other things.
It was hard for you to turn on the camera today?
Yeah, I almost wasn't gonna turn on my camera, but I don't know what it is. I think they're putting something in my food or something. But literally, right before I heard the text message sound
Mm-hmm.
notifying me that I have a,
An
a meeting,
appointment?
an appointment,
Mm-hmm.
I had to use the bathroom, like literally right before I heard the sound, and then I used the bathroom. I didn't even know what time it was. I used the bathroom, and then I heard the notification sound. I looked at my phone, and it said I have an appointment. So then, turn on the camera. But it's weird. It's just really weird. I'm almost certain they're putting something in my food. But then also yesterday,
Are you feeling sick? Is that what it is?
uh, I always feel sick. I always feel pain. I
Okay.
always feel pain in my neck, my back, my hands and arms, legs and feet. And my hands and arms and legs and feet keep going numb. I always feel pain in my neck and my back, my lower back, my middle back, my upper back, my entire neck. Um, Sharp pains in my head.
Mm.
And yesterday, I was laying in my bed and I had my phone on the headboard of my bed,
Mhm.
and I was watching a video at the White House that they had. Trump was giving a speech at a White House dinner, and I just finished watching the video of the interview that they had in the Oval Office, and then they went to the uh, the ballroom to have dinner. And I was watching the second part of the video where he was giving the speech in the ballroom when they were about to have dinner, and I had the phone on top of the headboard of the bed, and it was at my feet, and it was facing my left leg, and while I was watching the video, I started feeling a really sharp pain in my entire left leg, like a really sharp, intense pain. I couldn't figure out what it was, and I was thinking in my head, I was like, man, I hope something's. I hope I don't have to go to the emergency room right now, because of the pain in my left leg.
Right.
And then, literally, the pain in my left leg, it was like a sharp, intense pain, and
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Alhamdulillah, that means God bless you in Arabic.
How do I say thank you?
Alhamdulillah.
I can't say that. I don't know how to. Say it one more time.
Say L.
N.
L. A-L.
L.
Hamdu.
Hamdu.
Lillah.
Lillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And then.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the pain in my left leg was a constant, sharp, intense pain for about 10 to 15 seconds. And then all of a sudden my phone rang, and it was a FaceTime call from my father. And I said,
okay.
But literally as soon as the phone rang, the pain in my left leg went away. And then I said, hey Siri, answer the phone. And then the phone answered, and my father was on a FaceTime call with me. But it was obviously the radiation and the frequency signal from the FaceTime call right before it attached to my phone. And being that I was watching a live White House video that they had live on YouTube, they were probably looking at me through my camera phone, and then at the same time when I got the call, it probably caused that intense radiation frequency signal pain going through my left leg, being that the phone was literally right there in front of my left leg.
Has that ever happened before?
Yeah, similar, but not as intense as it was yesterday. Yesterday it was a really, really sharp, intense pain. It literally felt like somebody was stabbing me in my left leg, but it was like a stabbing, electrical type of
pulse kind of thing.
No, it wasn't a pulsating. It was just a constant
stabbing
sharp,
pain.
Yeah, really sharp, intense, electrical signal type of radiation frequency kind of pain. And it was really sharp in my foot and really sharp in my upper thigh area. And it was really, really sharp, intense pain. It was almost immobilizing. But it was the sharp pain for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then all of a sudden my phone rang, and it was a FaceTime.
And it stopped.
Yeah, and it stopped. And then what else? The other day, Trump, he gave a speech. He was at the White House, and he was talking about some things that I said in a video that I was documenting. I don't know if I told you this already, but he was talking about the he said there were several people that he used to have dinner with that were very bad people who used to work for him and work in the government.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about that in a video that I was documenting the other day when I went to the doctor. And then after I left the doctor, I went to Publix pharmacy to pick up my medications. And then I returned back home. And while I was waiting for transportation to pick me up from Publix pharmacy after I picked up my medication, after I went to Dr. Richard Friesmeyer, a chiropractor here in Tallahassee, Florida. Friesmeyer, last name Freesmeier, first name Richard. After I left that doctor's office, I had transportation bring me to Publix pharmacy. And then I picked up my medication, and I was waiting for transportation to bring me back home, and I was talking to myself in my camera phone, and I was documenting the entire trip to the doctor's office, then going to the pharmacy, and then returning home. Because they have a habit of harassing me when I'm going to the doctor, and the transportation harassing me, and then returning home. It's an ongoing thing that they keep reoccurringly doing, and it's become malicious. A malicious form of harassment and a malicious form of obstruction of justice. And I've been documenting it, hoping that they'll stop. And it's almost as if they're acting like they're maliciously prosecuting me, and they're doing it in a way to scare me out of continuing to complain about them maliciously harassing me and maliciously obstructing justice. Because they're doing it like in a way, like it's almost like they're bullying me, but I'm aware of it because they're unethically hacking my phone for one, and literally almost anything and everything I watch on my phone, or I document on my phone, or I look at on my phone, they use that against me, and they'll only allow things to populate on my Google searches and my YouTube searches and things like that are, how could I say, in a way that's like maliciously harassing me, and then they'll do it in a way that'll surround all those things, and they'll try to make me feel like they're trying to set me up, and if I don't stop complaining, they're gonna arrest me for something. And it's like malicious prosecution, literally, and it's just really, really overwhelming at times, because it's like they're making me feel like if I don't stop complaining, they're gonna frame me for something, and they're making it seem more and more believable that they'll actually be able to get away with doing something like that to me. And they'll throw in like names of people that I've complained about, or specific things that are in my complaints, or specific things from my past, but they'll put like a spin on it. They'll kind of like make it. They'll fabricate it. They'll what's the word? It's a word for it. It's like
embellish.
It's kind of like a spoofing scam type of thing.
Okay.
That they're doing, mixed in with them stonewalling me and patronizing me and maliciously harassing me and maliciously obstructing justice and unethically hacking my phone. And then they have people from the Airbnbs next door where they're renting rooms. They'll have them harass me in real time during, before, and after I'm complaining or documenting things, or them maliciously harassing me to try to make it more overwhelming for me, to make me feel more scared, and hopefully scare me out of complaining, because that's the only desperate defense they have, is scaring me out of continuing to complain, because I have clear and convincing evidence proving my complaints far beyond a reasonable doubt, and they can't justify the fact that I was beaten up by officers. Especially the first time when Officer Ronnie Rodriguez, badge number 42511, put me in a chokehold for about 15 to 20 seconds, and then twisted my neck to the right, and then picked me up and body slammed me onto my left side because I told on him.
All right.
And literally, they shut down the government again. And it just so happened to be at the same time when my father is about to finish recovering from his leg surgery and be able to walk from the parking garage of the federal courthouse in Broward to the front door of the federal courthouse in Broward, which is like a quarter-mile walk. And it's difficult for him because it's his leg pain and leg surgery. And he told me, he said, as soon as I'm able to walk a quarter mile, literally from the parking garage of the federal courthouse in Broward to the front door, I'm going to finish the lawsuit so they can pay you for injuring you. And you know, it's going to be an ongoing thing. I mean, he's going to have to do that for 4 different police brutality cases. And he's going to have to change the venue for the first one, which is from the Miami-Dade County Courthouse and the Miami Federal Courthouse, to the Broward County Federal Courthouse, the Broward Federal Courthouse, because that's where he lives, and he's not going to be able to be traveling from Broward to Miami Federal Courthouse because he's disabled, he's older, he just had leg surgery. It's a simple process in the sense of, you know, changing the venue and just presenting the evidence to a judge, but the issue is the fact that he's disabled and he just had leg surgery. And my opposing counsels, they're forcing this situation on me and my family, to where they're trying to use the desperate defense of the statutes of limitations have expired, if there even is a statute of limitations on a special case like this that involves government employees injuring me. And then them maliciously obstructing justice year after year after year so they don't get in trouble. And they're forcing me and my family to have to utilize the equitable tolling remedy to toll the statute of limitations, to remove them from the case. And it's just so overwhelming in its entirety, because just the simplicity of the situation. Like, for example, I just told you what the officers did to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And aside from the fact that I'm already traumatized from that and having to talk about it over and over, but the simplicity of me telling you that, right? And you acknowledging that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were a judge, you would say, okay, Omar, I hear you. Can you show me evidence clearly and convincingly proving your complaint? And I would say, yes, of course. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. And I would present my evidence to the judge. It would literally take no longer than this phone call that we would be this video call that we would be on today for me to do that. But they're forcing this situation on me and my family that's lasting years. Also, they don't get in trouble. And if you remember, several months ago when I told you my father just had leg surgery and his leg is going to be in a cast for several months. Now,
yeah,
they took the cast off his leg, and he's almost finished recovering from the leg surgery. And those few months that I mentioned to you, his leg was going to be in a cast, or the 6 months rather that I mentioned to you, his leg was going to be in a cast.
Yeah.
Those 6 months it's been 6 months now, and they removed the cast from his leg, and he's almost finished fully recovering, and they shut down the government. Literally right around the same time when he was about to go back to the federal courthouse. They shut the courthouse down. They shut the government down.
And for you, this feels like more than a coincidence.
Of course it's more than a coincidence. They're talking about the same things that they talked about when they shut down the government the first time during the coronavirus pandemic, when I was trying to go to the courthouse to file the second police brutality case and finish the first one. The first one happened on August 7th, 2018. And the second police brutality case, which was also in Miami, happened on March 27th, 2019. And I was struggling already to finish filing to finish the first lawsuit because they kept maliciously harassing me and maliciously obstructing justice while I was in Miami. And they were doing the same things, unethically hacking my phone, harassing me during, before, and after every legal and medical obligation I had to fulfill and legal and medical location I had to go to. The same thing. They're doing the same thing. And during that time frame in Miami, a second police brutality case happened on March 27, 2019. And when I went to file that case, they shut down the courthouse. And literally, I was at the Four Seasons Hotel when they did that to me. When the second police brutality case happened, I went to the Four Seasons Hotel to hand deliver the lawsuit documentation that the Homer, Bonner, and Jacobs law firm that was representing J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, overnight rush delivered FedEx mail to me so I could sign, because the Honorable Chief Justice Michael Moore in federal court in Miami, he told me to sign the settlement documentation and give it to the Homer, Bonner, and Jacobs law firm right away, because we agreed to settle out of court. They overnight rush delivered the settlement documentation to me. I signed it, and I called them, and they told me we have an appointment at 1 p.m. and they said they were gonna call me at 1 p.m. So I waited for them to call me. They didn't call me. The same situation like they did with the first police brutality case, where the city of Miami attorney Douglas Harrison, who was an assistant to the city of Miami attorney Victoria Mendez at the time, told me he was going to call me. And he said that in court in front of the judge. The judge asked me to get evaluated by the doctors from the city of Miami attorney's office during outpatient procedures, and I agreed to that. And that was for them to evaluate how much they were going to pay me. And me and the judge asked the city of Miami attorney Douglas Harrison, when could we do that? And he said, we'll call him. I said, okay. And they never called me. And the judge asked me to go with the city of Miami attorney Douglas Harrison to his office to upload the CD-ROM with the exhibits of evidence that I had onto his computer at his office. So after that court hearing, I went to his office with him, uploaded the CD on his computer. While I was sitting in his office, I took a picture of the view from his window, because he had a view of the bridge in downtown Miami that was separating the courthouse area from Brickell. And you could see the intercoastal, and the bridge was opening up, and it was like a nice kind of view. You could see the several buildings in the background. And he had an office in the City of Miami Administration Building, the 444 City of Miami Administration Building. About 2-minute walking distance from the Miami-Dade County Courthouse. And so I took a picture of the view from his window after he uploaded the CD-ROM on his computer. And after he uploaded the CD-ROM on his computer, he looked at me and said, now I'm just going to go home and get drunk. And I was thinking to myself, this is the person that they hired to try to justify the police attempting to murder me. And he's sitting here telling me now he's just going to go home and get drunk after I gave him the evidence for him to upload on his computer. And in court, he said he was going to call me. When the judge asked him, when are we going to do the outpatient procedures so Omar could get evaluated by the city of Miami attorney's office doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And he never called me. And it's the same thing. The Homer Bonner and Jacobs law firm attorney Brian Leckage said he was going to call me at 1 p.m. and he never called me. So I called them and they didn't answer the phone. So I called them a few times and they still didn't answer the phone. And I left a message and they didn't return my phone call. And the address of the Four Seasons Hotel where they were at on the 14th floor was literally 5 minutes from the Sylvania Hotel that I was at. They're both in the downtown Miami area. So I went to the Four Seasons Hotel with the signed documentation that the FedEx overnight rush delivered to me to hand deliver it to them. I walked into the Four Seasons Hotel. Security asked me, who am I here to see? I said, I'm here on business. I have documentation I need to give to the Homer Bonner and Jacobs law firm on the 14th floor. So he gave me access to the elevator so I could go to the 14th floor. I went to the 14th floor, walked into the Homer Bonner and Jacobs law firm. I asked to speak to the attorney, Brian Leckage, and they said, okay, hold on one second. Then they went into the back office of the law firm, and then they came back and they said, oh, the attorney's not here. And I said, well, they told me they were going to call me at 1 p.m. for a meeting, but they never called me. And they FedEx overnight rush delivered the settlement documentation to me that we agreed to in federal court with the Honorable Judge Chief Justice Michael Moore. And then, so they said, let me try to get in contact with the attorney. So they tried to get in contact with the attorney. They said the attorney didn't answer the phone. And then they told me to just reschedule my appointment. So I said, okay. So I just rescheduled the appointment with the receptionist, and then I left. And I was literally standing in front of the elevator, waiting for the elevator to open so I can go downstairs and leave and get my bike from the parking garage that was hanging on the wall in front of the security booth, and then go back to the Sylvania Hotel where I was renting a room for, I think, $750 a month or something. And the other elevator that was next to mine opened, and two police officers walked in, Officer Brown and Officer Brogdon. I knew Officer Brown already because she came to the convenience store that I was managing in Model City, Miami, because several people kept trying to rob me. Some of which were at gunpoint, some of which them trying to rob the store, some of them damaging things in the store, some of which there were people outside selling drugs, soliciting prostitution. It's so many things that they were doing bad, and I kept having to call 911 and file trespassing citations against those people. And Officer Brown was one of the same officers who came to the convenience store to help me. So when she walked in through the elevator, she immediately recognized me, and she was smiling because she knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And they were telling her and Officer Brogdon, who was with her, that I was trespassing. Literally right after they told me to just reschedule my appointment with the attorney because for some reason the attorney wasn't answering the phone. And he didn't call me either when he told me he was going to call me for our appointment at 1 p.m. It was a simple process. I mean, I literally rescheduled the appointment and walked out and was about to enter the elevator so I can go 14 floors down to the lobby, enter a parking garage, get my bike, and leave. And they called the police on me and told them I was trespassing. But I wasn't trespassing. I was there well within my legal rights, and I was there on business. Right. And the Officer Brown and Officer Brogdon was like, okay, well, they're saying you're trespassing, so let's go. I said, okay. I left, and as we're going downstairs, I was explaining to them the entire situation and explaining to them that they need to be aware of these type of situations because they're, purposely obstructing justice so they don't get in trouble. And they're harassing me. And I was explaining to them how and what they were doing because if they're doing it to me, they're obviously doing it to other people because it's impossible that I'm the first person that they're doing these type of things to because the way that they're doing it in a way as if they're very experienced in doing these things to people. And that's the only way that they're able to get away with it. And so I was bringing it to their attention, and I was also explaining to them that I wasn't trespassing. You know, they're lying. They're trying to use that as a desperate defense. And I was offering to show them the documentation and everything. And as we were going downstairs to the parking garage, we were in front of the parking garage. I was about to enter the parking garage, and I asked the officers for their names and badge numbers so I could document it and so I could inform the Honorable Chief Justice Michael Moore that the Homer Bonner and Jacob law firm, who was representing J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, called the police on me and told them that I was trespassing when I wasn't. And I was there well within my legal rights, and I was there on business with a binding contract between me and Homer Bonner and Jacob's law firm in reference to settlement documentation that they FedEx overnight rush delivered to me for me to sign by way of instructions from the Honorable Chief Justice Michael Moore in federal court. And when I asked the officers for their names and badge numbers, they jumped on me. They injured me. And they made the injuries from the first police brutality case worse. And they arrested me. And they arrested me for trespassing and resisting arrest without violence to their person. And literally all I did was just ask them for their names and badge numbers right before I was about to walk into the parking garage to get my bike off the wall and leave from their presence. And I had to ask them what their names and badge numbers were because I have to document that in court documentations in federal court with the Honorable Chief Justice Michael Moore. And just because I asked them what their names and badge numbers were, they jumped on me, injured me. They put several bruises on the back of my arms, and they literally jumped me from the back, and I fell down face first onto the concrete in front of the parking garage outside of the Four Seasons Hotel. And then when I went to the Miami-Dade County Courthouse to file that lawsuit, they ended up shutting down the courthouse. And then they shut down the government. And they said it's a coronavirus pandemic. And it didn't stop. After that, they kept maliciously harassing me even more. And I ended up having to move from Miami to Broward. Went to Broward. They kept harassing me in Broward. And then I moved from Broward, and now I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. But while I was in Broward, there were two more police brutality cases that happened in Broward. One of them at Broward Health Medical Center by a Fort Lauderdale police officer named Officer Manya Tacos and 5 hospital security guards who were all Haitian. And half of them didn't speak English. Well, the majority of them barely spoke English. I'm sure they were probably here illegally in the country. And whether they were or not, they all purposely injured me. And they allowed a nurse to illegally intravenously inject me with something that gave me anaphylaxis. And when the injection gave me anaphylaxis, they tried to blame it on the coronavirus. They tried to say I had the coronavirus. But before they injected me, they told me there's nothing on my allergy list saying that I'm allergic to what they're trying to inject me with against my rights. And I told them, for one, you registered me into this hospital with the name Omar Fouad Jr. I don't have an allergy list under the name Omar Fouad Jr. because that's not my name. My name is Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fouad. I have an allergy list under that name because when I go to the hospital, I tell them what my name is, Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fouad. And even when I tell them my full name, Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fouad, sometimes they register me under the name Omar. sometimes they register me under the name Omar Fouad instead of my full name, Omar Mohsen Ibrahim Fouad. But even my first and last name, Omar Fouad, it has an allergy list also. But sometimes they register me under the name Omar Mohsen Fouad. Sometimes they register me under the name Omar Ibrahim Fouad. Sometimes they register me under the name Ibrahim Mohsen Fouad. They kept trying to cover up the complaints and the cases, and every time I had to go to the emergency room for those because of those cases that I was complaining about, they would try to register me under different names so they could try to get away with them injuring me. And what they were doing to me, which was maliciously harassing me and maliciously obstructing justice, and it was causing me to have to go to the emergency room. Specifically, like for example, them sending me to unsanitary housing locations from the hospital, and me getting sick at those locations and contracting things like Streptococcus Group A, where they had to surgically remove from my right butt cheek because there was feces on literally every living area of that uninhabitable rental property that they sent me to that was associated with the hospital, Florida Medical Center in Oakland Park, Florida. They sent me to 3101 Southwest 12th Place in Davie, Florida. And it was some kind of medical house associated with the hospital. It was called Joanne's Transitional Housing. They had a bunch of patients living there, and the place was filthy. It was infested with mold and filth and pests and feces on almost every living area of that house. And I ended up contracting Streptococcus Group A on my right butt cheek. And I had to go to Plantation General Hospital, which was 5 minutes away, and they had to surgically remove it. And when I went there, I told them everything that I told you, and they sent me to a different uninhabitable rental property. And it was the same. It was disgustingly filthy, the same type of way. And I ended up leaving from there, and I found a different place to live on Craigslist. And I went there, and then the fourth police brutality case happened. And then from there, I moved to, and now I'm in Tallahassee. Because they didn't stop maliciously harassing me and maliciously obstructing justice and purposely putting me in situations that were in a way only to scare me out of complaining. And there was a pattern that was forming that's clearly and convincingly proven that. And after the fourth police brutality case, I said, you know what, I'm going to move as far away as possible from these people. And now I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. And I'm still injured. The injuries have gotten worse. It's really overwhelming to have to think about this every single day, every single night, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep, during, before, and after, every time I eat some food, during, before, and after I'm ordering food, during, before, and after every necessary living necessity that I'm trying to accomplish. And they're doing things on purpose to make those simple tasks more difficult for me. And they're harassing me with all of those necessary living necessities that I have to accomplish. They're using those against me. I mean, they'll literally harass me with the shoppers. They'll literally harass me when I complain about shoppers not following the delivery instructions, and me complaining to Instacart, or Costco powered by Instacart, hoping that they would make them stop doing those things because it's making me sick and it's putting my health and it's making my injuries worse and it's putting my health at risk. And I'm trying my best to fully recover from injuries already. And it's just it's so overwhelming. And they're doing all those things in accordance with videos that I'm watching on YouTube, Google searches, complaints that I'm documenting. They're doing all that in accordance with all those things. And then sometimes they'll even have the shoppers, when they'll be bringing me my groceries, they'll try to have the shoppers scare me. And I know that they're just not regular shoppers, some random shoppers. They're obviously government employees because of the way that they're harassing me and the things that they're saying and the way that their demeanor is. And literally right before they'd be shopping for me, I'd be documenting complaints, and then they'll have a shopper come to my house literally with a similar name to things that I'm complaining about or things that are in my complaints. It's so overwhelming. And it's like they're bullying me. It's like a cyber attack mixed with a spoofing scam, mixed with the online payment scam, mixed with stonewalling, mixed with malicious obstruction of justice. It's torture. It's like they're extorting me. And it has to stop. And it all could stop if I had money. But they're making it difficult for me to be able to obtain money.
Well, they're making it difficult to even hear your case out in its entirety.
If I had money, it wouldn't be difficult. If I had money, I wouldn't have to have my father, who's disabled, who just had leg surgery, who retired from the Broward Sheriff's Office after 30 years of service, have to go to court on my behalf. I could pay an attorney who specializes in petitions and guardianship. Like, for example, the attorney Natasha Sheikh, an Arabic-speaking attorney. She specializes in petitions and guardianship. And she was willing to go to court for me on my behalf to do the exact same thing that my father's doing for me for free. But I would have had to pay her a $5,000 retainer fee and then whatever court fees that she charges after that. And I can't afford that right now. I literally spent more than $35,000 just to get from Broward to Tallahassee, Florida for my safety. I literally spent all the money that I have on hotels, on food, on transportation, just to go from South Florida, where they were maliciously harassing me, where my opposing counsels and their friends were maliciously harassing me, to the capital of Florida for my safety. And it costed me more than $35,000 to do that. All because I needed a place to live, and I needed transportation, and I needed food. Necessary living necessities. All of which they used against me. All out of a desperate defense. For my opposing counsels and their friends, so they don't get in trouble for injuring me. That's extortion. That's like, for example, if you need your job to be able to afford your necessary living necessities and fulfill your necessary living necessities so you can stay alive. But I'm extorting you by unethically hacking your phone so you can't make calls and do your job. And I'm extorting you by doing that, which is unethically hacking your phone every time you're trying to do your job so you could afford your necessary living necessities, so you could stay alive. That's extortion.
Right.
So Trump was on a video live at the White House giving a speech, sitting in a room with several people, and they were talking about the same things that I was mentioning in my video, which is a person is never going to be able to have full control of their life until they get the opportunity to sit down with the toxic friends of lawmakers, state representatives, and politicians who change and make laws, and have dinner with them and witness in real time how their toxic friends are influencing the decision making of these state representatives and politicians who make and change laws. And until a person is able to sit down with state representatives and politicians' toxic friends and witness in real time how they're influencing their decision making on the laws that they're making and changing, a person is never going to be able to have full control of their life. They're never going to be able to know exactly when to stop putting their time, their energy, and money that they're investing in specific things and towards specific things, and put them in other areas and without getting that opportunity to do that, people are only going to be able to determine where they need to put their time and energy and money that they're investing off of outdated news reports and outdated, things that they're informing people of through media and things like that. And I was talking about that on a video that I was documenting when I was waiting for transportation to bring me home after my doctor's appointment, and I went to pick up my medication from Publix, and I was waiting for transportation to pick me up, and I had to call transportation 2 or 3 times because the first vehicle that they sent left when I walked outside, and then the second vehicle, I think they left, and then the third time I called transportation, I saw a sergeant walk in to Publix while I was sitting in the when you first walk into Publix where they have the shopping carts and then they have the electrical scooter shopping cart where you could sit down on it. I was sitting on the electrical scooter shopping cart waiting for the transportation, and by that time it was the third time I called transportation, and I saw a sergeant walk in really fast, and then he walked back out, and when he walked back out, I said, "Sarge, you looking for me?" He said, he smiled at me, he said, "I don't think so." And then he walked out, and then I got the notification on my phone saying that the transportation arrived, and they pulled up right in front of the Publix pharmacy entrance where I was sitting. But the first 2 vehicles, they pulled up on the opposite side of Publix, on the other side of the entrance. But the third time when I called, they had a sergeant walk in and then walk out to make sure that I was there, and then a black truck pulled up, like a newer model black truck. Looked like some kind of government vehicle or something. So, anyways, then I went home, and then I noticed that Trump gave a speech talking about the same thing that I was talking about. He was saying uh, there's a lot of people, people who used to work for him in the government, and they used to have dinner with him, and they were bad people and things like that. Pretty much the same thing that I was talking about. And but if they're able to do all that, they're able to pay me also. It's simple. I mean, they're spending a lot of money to sit there and have those conversations live on TV with so many news broadcasters and all those people, all of which are getting paid a lot of money to just sit there and talk about, the same things that I'm talking about and complaining about. They could pay me also if they could do all that. And by them not paying me, but doing all those things, it's like they're maliciously harassing me. It's like they're bullying me. It's the same thing as saying, haha, Omar, yeah, look, we're acknowledging what you're saying, we're even talking about it, but we're still not paying you. And we can get away with it because you're poor. What are you going to do now? You're going to get mad enough to the point where you're going to do something to get arrested?
Right. It's like provoking.
Yeah. I mean, what else could I possibly do? Other than tell my disabled father to please go to court on my behalf and use the equitable tolling remedy to remove the statute of limitations, because my opposing counsels and their friends are trying to act like there's a statute of limitations on a case that involves government employees injuring me and them maliciously obstructing justice so they don't get in trouble. You know how uncomfortable that would make somebody feel? I know how uncomfortable it makes me feel already, being that they're doing those things to me. But you know how uncomfortable it would make somebody feel who literally retired after 30 years from the Broward Sheriff's Office, and their son is going to them and asking them for help for them to go to the courthouse to tell a judge that their son was injured by police officers from the same police department that they retired from after 30 years and from neighboring police departments.
I mean, at least your dad is willing to go and speak on your behalf. I know it's probably not obviously what you want him to do because he's trying to recover himself.
When I talk to him about these situations,
Mm-hmm.
I tell him, please open the email that I sent to you. I send you an email every single day with with the detailed information of what you're asking me. It's all in a detailed email. And he's telling me, he's in pain. He can't read all those emails right now and things like that. And I explained to him that it's not a lot to read on the emails. It's probably a paragraph that's different on all those emails. The entire email thread is the same because it has all the same information. It has a detailed description of my expenses. It has a link an iCloud link to 131 exhibits of evidence clearly and convincingly proving the police brutality cases and my complaints. And then on that same email thread, it has a prayer. So all of the emails that I send to him, they're all the same. The only difference is at the top of the email, the subject title is different, and then at the top of the body of the email, it'll have a description of what that email is. Like, for example, if I'm sending him an email in reference to a doctor's appointment, it'll have a subject title referencing the doctor's appointment, and then on the top of the body of the email, it'll have a description of the PDF file, for example, that's attached to it that has things referencing my doctor's appointment and phone calls that I made to the doctor, or a link to a video and audio transcript in reference to a doctor's appointment, or any legal and medical obligation I had to fulfill. So he has a record of it. And when I talk to him on the phone, he's asking me to tell him all those things on the phone. And it's overwhelming for me, and it's traumatizing for me to have to repeat all that over and think about it all over again.
Yeah.
So I tell him, please just open your email. And then he'll say, okay, fine. And then he'll open the email, and then he'll tell me, okay, I'm watching the video, or I'm listening to the audio transcript, or, you know, he'll tell me he's looking at the email. But I know it's overwhelming for him also. You know, he's coming off as if, you know, he'd rather just for me to just tell him, like, just to talk to him, have a normal conversation with him on the phone about these things that I've already put in writing and documented in detail and sent him an email. The same emails that I send to you, I send them all in the same email thread. My family members, several participating government agencies, several victims units, several opposing counsels, several doctors' offices. Pretty much everybody who is in a position to help victims like myself.
Right.
They're all
they get the same information.
Yeah, and I send them the email with all that information at the same time, all in the same email thread. Because previously, when I was sending those emails to those people individually, my opposing counsels, they were trying to take advantage of that. And several participating government agencies were trying to take advantage of that, and they were trying to cover it up. So I know from experience, in the pattern that was forming, to send them all that information on the same email thread, so they have no way possible to try to cover it up again.
Right.
And now, once again, they're shutting down the government. Now, once again, they've got people being indicted. Now, once again, all these different things.
It's a repeat.
Yeah,
for you.
It's the same thing over and over again. And I'm witnessing it in real time, and I can't help but notice and feel like what's obvious, which is if they're able to do all that, which they are doing, they're also able to pay me. Because they're spending an excess of hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, on all of these cover-up attempts throughout all these years. They could easily pay me.
Right.
They could easily pay me what I demanded. I think more than a year ago on an email thread with my father on that email, and several of the same participating government agencies and my opposing counsels all in the same email thread. I titled the email, I said, telling my father, I said, Mohsen Fouad, demand $10,000 a month, every month, forever. And I was referencing that in reference to the 4th police brutality case. And first I said, demand $5,000 a month, every month, forever. But then they kept doing the same thing that I was just complaining to you about. So then I sent another email and I said, demand $10,000 every month, forever. And I was referencing that once again in reference to the 4th police brutality case. And I increased it from $5,000 to $10,000 a month because they kept trying to cover it up. And it was making a lot of problems for me and my family. And they're doing all those things, which, like I said, it's costing over hundreds of millions of dollars. And if they could do all those things, they could easily pay me. But they know if they pay me $1, that's an admission of guilt.
Right.
Whether they want to say, what is it called, habeas corpus, or I forgot the word, where they, or pro se, no contest, or something like that, where they
no contest day, that one.
Yeah, no le contraire day or something. I forgot the name. Some kind of Latin legal term or something, where they'll agree to settle, but they don't agree. They're not admitting that they're at fault. But who is gonna agree to settle or pay somebody in the first place for something that they didn't do? You know what I mean? It's like, hello.
It's not, they're not admitting guilt, but they're also not saying that it's like no content. So they're not going to contend what you're saying, but also kind of that is admitting that they are guilt. They're accepting what's going on without actually having to say that there's guilt.
Yeah.
Or that they know that they did something wrong.
Right. I think it's called no contest or something like that. But
yeah. But we'll have to pick this back up next week because we are out of time. We're a little over time, but that's okay. Next week, I only have a 5 o'clock available on Friday. I don't know if that will be fine for you.
No, I think 6 o'clock is better.
Okay, well then I will have to move you to the following week at 6 because I don't have anything open at this time at 6, but it doesn't mean that someone can't cancel. And if they do cancel, then I'll squeeze you in. But we'll go back to the Thursday at 6.
So what day is that exactly?
That'll be, let me see. Ooh, that'll actually be the 6th because I'm on vacation the last week of October.
So
November 6th.
November 6th at 6 p.m.
At 6. Mm-hmm.
So November 6th, 2025 at 6 p.m. All right.
Yeah. All right, Omar. I will talk to you then. But if I do have something that opens up at 6 o'clock on Thursday, because I have a new person that I have to do an evaluation for, but if they don't show up, then I'll just squeeze you in. Okay?
All right. Well, I hope you enjoy your vacation. Be safe.
Thank you.
Be safe during your... I was going to say be safe during your investigation. Be safe. Be safe. Be safe during your vacation. And enjoy yourself. Try not to think about any problems, but always remember to be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Omar. You take care, okay?
Same to you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, Lord. Time now is 7:08 p.m. Today is Thursday, October 16th, 2025. The duration of this audio transcript is 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 45 seconds. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.